Welcome to the Opening Bid podcast. I'm Yahoo Finance Executive Editor Brian Sozzi. Like I always say, this is the podcast that will make you a better investor and, dare I say, a better leader. Let's welcome onto the program Skybridge Capital founder Anthony Scaramucci. We're here at the World Economic Forum, Davos. A little cold, Anthony. A little cold.
I came here to be a better person.
Not just really?
Not just a better leader. I just want to be a better person, Brian. That's why I'm here.
It's good to see you. This is Davos 17 for you, right? This is crazy.
Yeah, actually, it's funny because I first time I came was in 2017. I missed 2008, but yeah, I've been to 17 of the last 18 Davos.
Veteran of the slopes.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned being a good person. You've been on fire with some of these crypto tweets. What do you Trump coin? WTF? What do you think about that?
The thing that troubles me the most is the silence. So I find that Trump has done a wonderful job for himself of scaring the daylights out of everybody, and so they won't tell you any truth to power. They won't say anything about what he's doing that they think is not right. And I don't know. I don't know. I didn't grow up that way. You didn't grow up that way. I think with what he's doing to go into the American presidency, which is sort of a sacred institution in the United States, you're relying on one person for the entire branch of a government, right? It's a separate. We have 3 separate articles in the Constitution that define the way we're going to govern ourselves. And because of George Washington, you gave it to one person, and he's breaking all of the societal norms. So, listen, he got 50.5% of the vote. It was very weak execution on the side of the Democrats. But it just goes to show you he doesn't have the mandate that he says that he has. And then the flip side is, what are these guys going to do to combat him? But I just think it's important to speak honestly. You're putting a meme coin out, which
and it's not just him. It's Melania. It's the first lady too.
Yeah. And so what happens is you get a rug pull, right? And so what is that? People drop it in, great enthusiasm, price goes up or number go up, and then all of a sudden, they start selling into it, and the retail people get held with the bag. And so, listen, it's a gambling token. It's a meme coin. I understand all that. But it's coming from the President of the United States, and it's our society is always going to have gambling. Our society is always going to have smoking and alcohol. But he's the leader of our country, and he does represent something to the rest of these countries, at least the institution of the presidency once did. So I don't like it. I'm happy to speak out about it.
Is it legal?
I'm a little mad at Joe Biden, though. Can I tell you why?
Yeah, fire away.
He keeps pardoning everybody, and so I'm moving up the enemies list. And I was probably...
Wait, you didn't get a pardon, did you?
No, I didn't get a pardon. I was like in the top 50, but now you blew out like 20 of these people. I keep going up the list.
Well, I hope this is the last time I see you.
We have to do this podcast in an undisclosed location at some point. I don't know. But I'm going to continue to speak out because I think it represents something about you and who you are as a human being. And talking about being a good person, I've got 5 kids. I don't want my kids to handle themselves like that.
But isn't this the last thing that the crypto market needs? After all the crap with FTX, Binance,
Terrible.
Now we have a meme coin. It's already crashed in value.
Yeah, and listen, it'll go up and it'll go down, but also it is a central clearing station for bribery. Okay, so you know, and this is terrible. I mean, you have a way now to get to him through money, and I don't know. I don't even. And by the way, just the appearance of it. Let's say it'll never happen. Okay, but just the appearance of the impropriety is enough to shake people, and it just begs the question: where are we going from here? Like, how do we renew America? How do we reclaim what I think we would like America to be? But listen, I work for him. I understand the nature of his personality. He's not a guy that likes people, and a lot of people don't like him. And so it's going to be a rough 4 years.
You mentioned of course, you work for him, but you're really plugged into D.C. I mean, this coin is essentially tied to his family, and they can make money. Should we expect more initiatives like this from various affiliates of his family? Do they want to profit on the presidency?
I mean, I think it's prima facie. I think the corruption nature of this and the willingness to use the presidency as a lever. They go to the Middle East to fundraise. They come back with a couple $2 billion. They go and do certain things here and there. I think the appearance, again, the appearance of the impropriety is enough to really soil the idea of what they're doing. And so, and by the way, I want to be fair to everybody. I mean, the Democrats, I don't know, I guess we're selling Hunter Biden's artwork to people for millions of dollars. I mean, is he Leonardo da Vinci, Biden? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me either. So there is symmetry. Maybe we need to pay these political leaders more, and maybe we need to make the rules tighter. I don't know.
Right.
So it bothers me though, and I have no problem speaking out against it. And if I move up Trump's enemy list, so be it. You
I
know,
hope
what
this
am
is
I
the last
going to
time I see you. So you're still bullish on crypto. Everyone I've talked here on the ground, bullish on crypto, optimistic on what the administration may do in terms of regulation.
Yeah.
What is Skybridge doing in crypto?
Well, look, we've had a 5-year bet. You know, we bought into Bitcoin in October 2020. We own other tokens like Solana and Avalanche, Polkadot. We own some Algorand. We have a broad section of tokens in our coin fund. I'm bullish. I don't like when I hear that, Brian. When people say to me that the consensus in Davos is bullish, it's usually a bad sign. They thought that Hillary Clinton was going to win in 2016.
Didn't work out.
Okay, and they make mistakes like that because they're like a match sailing race. Now, last year at this time, people here thought that Donald Trump was going to win and was going to be the president, and so they got that one right. But the regulatory hurdles that are going away, I think, will be better for things like Bitcoin, better for things like Solana. It's unclear to me what happens to 15,000 other coins out there and what their use cases are and their utility. And again, we're going to have meme coins. I get it. We're going to have gambling tokens that people are going to trade on. Something like Doge has, tens of billions of dollars of market cap. I understand all of that, but the real question is, are we going to have utility where you and I are going to be able to transfer value to each other permissionless? Are we going to expedite the speed of transactions? We can now move money at the speed of light. That's what a digital dollar is from Circle. That's what a digital Bitcoin is in the Bitcoin network. And so the question is, we finally have money. I mean, we used to have money that was like in a Wells Fargo stagecoach, and so you had the Morse code. They tap out that they were going to do it. So the information was moving at the speed of light, and the money was moving by horseback. And so now, 200 plus years later, we have the money moving at the speed of light, but the system is not set up for that. If I want to wire money here to Switzerland, there's 3 or 4 different levers that got to get pulled. It may take 3 or 4 days from the United States to do that. We have the capability to do it instantaneously, and I think that will dramatically transform the world because you're probably spending $6 to $7 trillion of the global economy on verifying transactions. So that's not just wire charges, but it's all the different things that go on in the credit card space, all the different things that go on in terms of transactions fees as we're trying to verify and trust each other around the world.
Are you launching any new funds at Skybridge for crypto?
Well, I don't know. No, I have 3 things going on. I have my core fund of funds business, which has been did very well last year. We have a alternative coin fund, and that we manage. It's got several $100 million in it, and as you would imagine, it's a long-based fund, so that did extraordinarily well. And then I have a private equity fund where we buy late-stage secondaries, and so we had success last year with Aster Labs. I don't know if you know that company, but it's an artificial intelligence company. It went public about 6 months ago. The issue price was 15. I think it's trading at like 130. So our clients are very happy. If you came and saw me in 2022, our clients were very unhappy. Okay, I was also
we want happy clients, right?
I was also very unhappy. Okay, so I think the real message is you have to stay in things, particularly things you have a lot of conviction about and you've done the homework on. And I think we talk about being a better investor. As I've gotten older, I have found that the longer I'm in a position, if it's a high quality position, Microsoft, a high quality position, Google, Apple Computer, you're rewarded by your patience. And I think that's going to be true in Bitcoin.
Isn't it amazing to see a lot of these tech executives at the inauguration? I mean, I get they have
supplicants.
They have to watch their bottom line, but wow, I mean, this is an industry that didn't warm up to him in his first 4 years.
I think these guys have made a decision that he has a lot of power and he could hurt their businesses, and so they're on bended knee before him. And I found it very interesting yesterday, the symbolism of the billionaires being right behind the family members, cabinet members after that.
Is that weird?
I think it's a little weird. I mean, he put the private sector billionaires in front of the governmental officials that he just appointed, and so I think he's telling you something there. Like everyone says Trump is MAGA, And what is MAGA? I guess the definition of that is they're populists. They're gonna help the little people. But Howard Stern may be right about Trump. He may not really like the little people. He likes the billionaires. He likes cavorting with them. I think there's a lot of symbolism there. He may be the least MAGA of the MAGAs.
Interesting. All right, hang with us, Anthony. We're going to go off for a quick break. We'll be right back on Opening Bid. Welcome back to Opening Bid. Having a really awesome chat here at World Economic Forum, Davos, Switzerland, with Skybridge Capital founder Anthony Scaramucci. Yeah, it was just weird to see Tim Cook hanging out there right on the aisle, Apple CEO. I mean,
Right.
do
Well,
they look,
I
do you
mean,
think these guys
I
really like
think
him? Do they like him?
I think Trump is at least calling him Tim Cook. He's not calling him Tim Apple anymore, which
Yeah,
is
no,
probably
Tim
probably
Apple.
good. Yeah.
Good to see you got it right.
Do I think they really like him? He's a hard guy to like. Does anybody really like him? I mean, look, my wife hates him, but like, not as much as Melania hates him. I mean, that's like the threshold. My wife hates him, but not quite as much as Melania
Ouch.
hates him. I mean, just look at the body language between the two of them, and look at the symbolism of the hats that she was wearing, the fashion statements that she's making. She's not a happy camper, and she's told everybody she's not going to be living in the White House. So it's just, George Bush. You allowed to curse on this podcast?
Yeah, fire away. Yeah,
yeah.
please,
I
yeah.
mean, George Bush, after the first speech, I was there. I was sitting up there. He said, "Man, that's some weird shit." And I don't know if you remember he said that.
Yep.
And it was weird shit. And now it's 8 years later. The speech he gave yesterday was catastrophically ridiculous. Catastrophically ridiculous. But he's conditioned us and he's normalized us. And so we look at that speech now. He wants to take over Panama. I guess he maybe use military
Gulf of
action
America.
against Greenland. Wants to change the name of Gulf of America. He's playing 4D chess, and we're playing checkers. There's some brilliance to that, and all this sort of nonsense. But in fairness to Donald Trump, there's always a kernel of something that's going on in what he's saying. And so there's Hong Kong company that's at both ends of that port, both ends of the canal, not really tied to the Chinese government, but he doesn't like that involvement there. And I can understand that. We've had the Monroe Doctrine promulgated in this country for over 200 years. And there's more shipping lanes open because of the global warming. There's more shipping lanes open, and he doesn't want the Chinese or the Russians up in the northern Atlantic. I can understand that. But the way he's going about it, I'm sorry, I'm just never going to be able to understand that. And I don't understand why you've got all of these willing participants on the side of the Republican Party that are claiming to understand that. But again, he's the president. There's some good things that he's doing as it relates to rolling back deregulation. I thought that the war on crypto that the Democrats prosecuted for the last 4 years was completely unnecessary. They didn't have to do that. I mean, they lost court case after court case. I think that what they did at the border was ridiculous. And I think, Kamala Harris had an opportunity to break from Joe Biden and say, hey, I don't have a lot of power as a vice president, but what we've done at the border is inexcusable. We have to tighten our border. Milton Friedman once said, you can't have an open border if you have a welfare and social safety net for your society. Because if you have a secure social safety net, people will run across the border to participate in it. It's just free market capitalism that orientates people with that incentive. So listen, there are things that he's doing as a Republican, longtime Republican, I get and I respect. But there's other things that he's doing very nonsensical. And it's also about our ethos. What do we represent? So, you're a young guy. I remember Ronald Reagan. Okay, and I was a student when he was president, and he held himself a certain way. Okay, you could like or dislike now the late and exceptional person Jimmy Carter, and perhaps he didn't have the greatest presidency, but he handled himself a certain way.
Yeah, good character.
Richard Nixon would never be doing a lot of the things that Donald Trump is doing, and moreover, the Supreme Court has given Donald Trump a lot of latitude now. As an example, if Richard Nixon perpetrated the crimes that he perpetrated in 72 to 74, under the current immunity ruling by the Supreme Court, there would have never been an issue for Richard Nixon. So they've given him this wide latitude, but then the question is, what is he doing with it, and how is it affecting the overall ethos of the process in government and the level of cynicism and frankly the grift? So we're gonna grift, have meme coins. We're gonna go after he's pardoning people that were involved with the violent acts against police officers at the Capitol. Pardoned them yesterday. So you have to say to yourself, okay, and again, not to be hypocritical, Joe Biden sent out a series of pardons. People would have to say, why did he do that? Trump has sent out a series of pardons. Bill Clinton, last day of his presidency, sent out a series of pardons. And I understand all that. I'm not sitting here on a high horse of purity, but you're pardoning people that committed violence against police officers at the Capitol on the 6th of January, 2021. I don't know. Maybe it's all going to work out. Maybe it's all going to be great. But the ethos of it doesn't feel right.
Well, speaking of working out, you mentioned China. Is it nonsensical that President Trump is now what appears to be tying the TikTok deal to slapping tariffs on China? I mean, at the time of this taping, he has floated 100% tariff on China. Now, as an investor, I mean that'd be chaos. 100% tariff on China.
Yeah,
right?
well, yeah. Again, it's interesting. So I'm obviously on Wall Street. So my Wall Street friends that voted for Donald Trump, it's a very interesting time in our history. He didn't mean that. Okay, so here's a list of things that he wants to do, and you're saying, well, no, he's just saying that. Or he's just saying that. So he's saying that he wants to deport 15 to 20 million people. So, listen, I'm an economist. You're in the money world. That would be an absolute disaster for the economy. We would lose a lot of work support around the country. There are people in the country that perhaps are here illegally, but are actually productive in the country. I mean, it's just the facts. So if you want to do that, you'll hurt the tax base. You'll hurt the Social Security trust fund. You'll hurt our worker productivity. You'll shrink the economy if you want to do that. And then the Wall Streeters will say, he didn't mean that. So he doesn't mean the 100% tariffs. Well, he once said that he was going to ban TikTok. The information got to him that this algorithm is military. It is weapons-grade technology to change people's public opinions. It's weapons-grade propaganda. Said differently, there's no way the Chinese government would let any of our weapons-grade propaganda changing the hearts and minds of their people into their country. And so why are we doing it? And so he was in 2000, I guess, 18 or 19, even in 2022, said that TikTok should be banned. And now some money's changed hands, lots of donors have showed up, and he's been told, well, TikTok's helped you, the young people voted for you, and so now he's for TikTok. So again, it's politics. I get it, but we have to have some standard of application in politics about what is in the best interest of the American people, not the billionaires sitting behind them, not even Donald Trump himself, but how are we going to make the country fairer, safer, better, more aspirationally opportunistic for lower and middle income people? How are we going to do that? My life and the progress that I've had in my life is a direct result of living in this amazing country, the United States. And why pull the ladder up on people now? Give them more opportunity. Be kinder. You got to like people and look at people and recognize that they're really not that much different than you. You may have more money than them, but you're not their superior.
Does your Wall Street community, do they fear markets being impacted at all this year by some of these initiatives? Is there any concern in their voices?
I don't think so. Like if you listen to Stan Druckenmiller's interview yesterday, very pro-business administration. I think many people felt that the Biden administration was anti-business and the economy did well in spite of the Biden administration. I think that the one thing I do like, again, I want to be as fair as I can be, when Trump talks about common sense, there was a lot of lacking of common sense in the Biden administration. What they did on crypto, what they did on the border, how they think about regulation in our society. Listen, we produced a lot more oil because we've got much better technology, but there are ways for us to produce oil without it totally upsetting the ecobalance of our society. By the way, the oil is going to get produced one way or the other, and we're all breathing the same air and we're all drinking the same water. So you can't say we're going to produce less oil in the United States and then run to Saudi Arabia and ask them to produce the oil that we're using in our economy, right? So there's so many things that you look at and they don't make a lot of sense. And so I do give him credit for calling out certain things that have happened that need to get changed.
He has called out Fed independence. You worried that this administration that he finally gets his ear,
Yeah.
his place inside the Federal Reserve, or you
Yeah.
think the Federal Reserve is going to stand pat and say, "Oh hell no, you're not getting involved with our business"?
So, Besant has said Fed needs to be independent. Trump himself said he's not going to remove, not going to remove Jerome Powell. And so I'm gonna take him at his word, because I think that would be very disruptive. One guiding thing for Donald Trump is the stock market. So he wants that number to go up.
Loves the stock market.
Yeah, he loves the stock market, and so he loves the stock market more than he loves polls. And so I think reducing Fed independence or doing things like that would hurt the market, would hurt the integrity of the system. We have enough problems with the system right now in terms of our burgeoning debt, the high interest rate. I mean, they're normal interest rates in one way, but if you think about all the technology that we put into our society, they should be lower. But we're making money. We're printing trillions of dollars, which is causing this force up in interest rates. And I think if you take the Fed independence out of the equation, it'll be super hurtful to the economy and super hurtful to the markets. And thankfully, Trump is guided by those two things, Brian, so I don't think he's going to do that.
In the last few minutes of the podcast, we always love to ask our guests their hot takes. So my question to you is this. What was it like working for him during that brief amount of time? And then as a human, how do you rally back after going through what you had to go through?
Well, first off, I had a decent relationship with him. You can't call yourself a friend of Donald Trump's. If you do that, you really don't understand the relationship. You're in his field of vision. You're transacting with him, but he's not a friend. He's not. You wouldn't call him a friend. But I had a good, longish relationship with him, and I traveled with him. I campaigned with him. I had spirited conversations with him during the 2016 campaign. When I joined the White House, in fairness to him, I think he was getting blindsided. He was 6 months into his presidency. The media was coming at him. There was a big internal fight between Reince Priebus and Steve Bannon and Jared Kushner. And so when I joined, he wanted me to help move out Bannon and Priebus. I mean, and I was like a bowling ball. I went in, I knocked Spicer, Bannon, and Priebus out of the picture. Of course, I knocked myself out of the picture. And people were very hard on me after I got fired, and the media lit me up, the late night comedians and all that other stuff. But what I would say to people listening to your podcast, it's not what happens to you, it's how you handle it. And so I think it's very, very important for people, particularly in the age of social media. I don't really care what other people think of me. My grandmother had a great line. What other people think of you is none of your business, okay? And you should tell that to your kids, particularly when they're getting bullied in cyberspace. And so when that happened to me, I just dusted myself off. I went back to work. I had crisis communications people telling me, go dark, maybe you should go to Europe for 6 months, a year. And I said, no, I'm going on Stephen Colbert.
Go to Europe?
Yeah, I don't know. Where they? I know. Go in a bomb shelters. I'm going on Steve Colbert. I'm going to go on Bill Maher. And I actually built a relationship with those guys. And for me, I look at it as follows. You go into politics, you're going to get blasted. You have to expect it. If you're going to play in the NFL, you're putting on an NFL helmet, unless you're the place kicker, you're going to get a concussion, okay?
True.
It's like a guarantee that you're going to end up with a concussion. So don't pretend otherwise. So don't be a baby about things. Just get up and go to work.
Well, it's always good to get some time with you here at Davos. A long-running guest for Yahoo Finance here at the World Economic Forum, Skybridge Capital founder Anthony Scaramucci. Have a great Davos.
Hey,
Always good to see you.
You too, bro. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you for freezing me, because I am like really cold.
Hey,
right
we do
now.
what we
Thank
can.
you.
All right, that's it for the Opening Bid podcast.